Today, I'm sharing with you the things they don't want you to know about living in North Dakota.
Hey, my name is Brady, and if you don't know me already, I'm a full-time realtor here in North Dakota, serving primarily Bismarck, Mandan, basically everything west of here. So if you're looking to move to Bismarck or anywhere in North Dakota, feel free to give me a call, shoot me a text, send me an email. I'm happy to help you with anything as you're moving into the area. All right, now let's get into the video.
All right, so we cannot talk about life in North Dakota without starting with the weather. So here it is. It gets cold here, like below zero, 50 degrees below zero, freezing cold. We get snow. It can be very, very miserable, but it does not stay extremely cold for very long. So yes, it does get like 50 below zero plus wind chill. It can get nasty, but it only stays like that for a couple days here, maybe a couple days there, and then you're back up into the 20s, 30s, 40s. So with that, you can see negative 50 and then it gets up into the 20s or 30s. It's pretty common for us to have 70-degree temperature swings in the span of 1 or 2 days. It is crazy. And so that's why you'll see in the middle of January, you've got people out there 20, 30 degrees, the sun's out, the wind's not blowing. They're out there in shorts. Why? Because yesterday it was 50 below, 70-degree difference. It feels like summer out here. Okay, so that's something that you just kind of adjust to. Yes, it gets extremely cold for a very short period of time, and then we're back into manageable temperatures, 20, 30s, 40s sometimes. Sunny, no wind. It feels very nice. Have to talk about the snow. Okay, Bismarck, on average, you're getting about 50 inches of snow, so it's really not that bad. Out west, kind of the Dickinson area, you're looking closer to like 40, 45, so it's even a little bit less. First snowfall can be anywhere September, October, sometimes not till November, December. It kind of melts all throughout the winter in those 20s, 30s, 40s with the sun shining. But it really, really starts to melt March, April. Every once in a while you get another snowstorm in April. But if and when it does, it melts pretty quickly. So all in all, the winters, they're really not that bad in North Dakota. Yes, there's days where the air hurts your face. It's a reality, okay? But it doesn't last very long. It's usually actually pretty nice, even through the winter months. It's cold for a stretch here, cold for a stretch there, but you're looking 30s, 40s a lot of the time, and sometimes 30s or 40s feels like shorts weather. So in the summertime, what they don't tell you is it gets freaking hot here. 100 degrees in August, not uncommon, okay? We really don't drop below 70 outside of a thunderstorm once we hit the end of May. You get to about Memorial Day, and rarely do you get below 70, and it kind of stays in the 70s until early to mid-September, and you go back down in the 50s and 60s, have fall, and then you do get into that winter. So where else are you gonna go where you can have 50 below zero and hit triple digits during the summer? All right, so what else about living in North Dakota? We've already talked about the weather. Another thing that people always think about when they think of North Dakota, it's wide open country. There's nobody here. Where are the people? And more or less, it's kind of true. It's a very rural state. In fact, we don't measure in miles, we measure in minutes. Okay? So if you're driving in Dickinson, it's 100 miles away. Do we talk about 100 miles away? No, because depending on where you're coming from, 100 miles can take hours and hours and hours. Here, 100 miles, you get to Dickinson in about an hour and 15 minutes. So here in Bismarck, I'm talking about New Salem, Wilton, some of these small towns around us. Honestly, I don't even know how many miles away they are. But I can tell you, you can get there in about 20 minutes. So if you're looking to kind of live in a super small rural town, you still have your grocery stores, those types of things. I'm not going to have a Walmart in those towns. 20 minutes from Bismarck. Again, I don't know how many miles it is. But I can tell you, if you live in New Salem, you can get to your work, you can get to Walmart, whatever, 20, 25 minutes here in Bismarck, Mandan. So another thing, living in rural North Dakota, especially in those small towns, you can get a very livable home, first-time home, $200,000 or less. We're talking 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms. It's going to be an older place in a small town, but again, 20, 30 minutes outside of Bismarck, you're living $200,000 house or less. So it's super, super affordable living. It's very attractive, especially people who, if you can work remote, you can get a really nice house in a really small town, not too far from the city, and really kind of change your entire lifestyle and live well below your means. Another thing about rural North Dakota, really North Dakota in general, is we have a lot of rivers. We have the Red River over by Fargo, the Missouri River, which separates Bismarck from Mandan. In the center part of the state, you got the Heart River, which flows through Dickinson all the way, leads into the Missouri River here, Bismarck. But so with all of these rivers, all of these, rural houses built on the river, North Dakota is a very trusting state. Handshake agreements are very much still a thing in today's world here in North Dakota. So one thing that if you are looking at buying a rural property, maybe it has a boat ramp that's on the river and it's shared between you and your neighbor, it's really important to make sure that everything is done, everything's in writing, because a lot of times, I just had one here not too long ago where we were looking at a place and the boat ramp on the river, about half of it was on the subject property and half of it was on the neighbors. Well, digging into it a little bit, they split the costs to build it, but it was never anything in writing as far as if something happens to it, who's taking care of it, who does it actually belong to. It was just a handshake agreement. So that can create some potential issues for you as a potential new owner owning maybe half of the dock. But what happens if you and the neighbor don't get along? Just something to kind of be aware of if you are looking at rural properties and making sure you kind of button up those handshake agreements from the past. All right, another thing about North Dakota. So we talked about the weather, super cold, gets really hot. Talked about rural, a lot of space, not a lot of people. So kind of tying into that is talk about the land. So obviously you've got the Red River Valley over in Fargo. You got the Missouri River here that runs right through the heart of North Dakota, Bismarck, Mandan. And then out west, you have the Badlands. Something that I think people don't really understand when they think about moving to North Dakota is land is not cheap in North Dakota. Like, yeah, it's cheaper than some places, but it's not like you can just go buy 5, 10 acres, 100 acres, whatever it is that you're looking for dirt cheap. Like, especially if you are looking for riverfront property, it's expensive, especially if it's in town, even if it's out of town, on the river, if it's in the Badlands, if it's farmland. Like, you can't just move to North Dakota and buy up a bunch of land for super cheap. It's not a thing. While we're talking about land though, a lot of hunting and fishing opportunities here in North Dakota. So especially southwest corner of the state in the Badlands, over by Theodore Roosevelt National Park. There's a lot of national grasslands, which is just public land. You're able to go hunting on it. We have a bunch of different lakes. Lakes Kakawea, up by Beulah, Hayes, and Garrison, Pick City. You got the Garrison Dam. Lots of really great fishing opportunities, hunting and fishing opportunities on both public land, but also private land, as long as you know who to talk to. A lot of landowners will allow you to go hunt on their land. It'll be posted. You can't just walk in and start hunting, but if you give them a call and you just say, hey, I'm in the area, maybe you see an animal, would it be okay if I hunted your property? And as long as you're respectful of land, you pick up after yourself, you're not leaving garbage behind. North Dakota landowners are usually pretty open to letting sportsmen onto their land, onto their property, and hunt. Next thing about living in North Dakota, so we talked about the weather, how it's rural, how land's not cheap. Fourth thing over here, North Dakota, is there's not a lot to do indoors. So we don't have any major sports teams. We have our colleges, NDSU, UND, University of Mary, Bismarck State, Dickinson State, a lot of small colleges, which provide a lot of activities to do here in the communities. But we don't have like big venues for concerts. I guess honestly, I lived in North Dakota my entire life outside of when I was in college. I guess I don't know what else there is to do indoors in other cities. I mean, we have some things to do indoors, like we have trampoline park, we have a gateway to science, obviously movie theater, stuff like that. But a lot of activities here in North Dakota are outdoors. You're going hunting, you're going fishing, you're hiking, lots of walking trails, lots of parks. We've got the national park, Theodore Roosevelt National Park. In Bismarck, we have, we've got a water park. We have the zoo. We have a mini amusement park here in Bismarck. So there's a lot of activities to do. Like, I'm not saying you're going to be bored, but a lot of the things that we do here for entertainment in North Dakota involves being outside. Okay? So if you're someone who likes to stay indoors and be entertained and go to concerts and theater and X, Y, and Z, you know, North Dakota is probably not for you because we don't have a lot of those things. We don't have professional sports teams like I mentioned. You know, you can drive not very far and hit up a college event, but there's just not a lot of indoor activities to do. And then here, the last one I wanted to talk about here today was, why are people moving to North Dakota? And I mean, if you're watching this video, you're probably at least thinking about it. North Dakota continues to grow almost every single year. I think there's been 1 year where it didn't. The population did not increase since 2010. But North Dakota is growing at a rapid rate. So I guess I just want to talk a little bit about the local feel as far as how do North Dakota natives feel about the growing population here in North Dakota. My opinion, we don't really care. Yeah, I mean, I suppose we know people are moving to the area from California, Florida, Texas, all over the country is moving here to North Dakota for a variety of reasons: economy, jobs, just to get away from people. Lots of different factors driving people to the area. But as far as the local perspective, how do we feel about it? At the end of the day, we don't care. Move here, great, mind your own business, do your own thing, enjoy yourself, enjoy what the state has to offer. Come on in, we're very welcoming, we're very friendly here in North Dakota. Join the community, be involved, you know, all of the things. I guess one piece of advice, one word of caution, I guess, would be North Dakotans are kind of set in their ways. And what I mean by that, and I don't mean that in a bad way, it's just, if you're new moving into the area, don't think you're going to be able to come in here and kind of tell us everything that's wrong, try to change everybody's way, this, that, or the other thing. North Dakotans, for the most part, we kind of stay to ourselves, and we're not going to tell you how to live your life. We just appreciate that you don't come in and try to tell us how to live ours. And it's really that you live your life. If it's not negatively impacting me, I don't care what you're doing, okay? I don't care what your political beliefs are. I don't care about X, Y, or Z. You do you, I'll do me, and even if we're different, like, we can totally get along, be part of the community, and hang out, do things together, and still be different. And I think that's something that's very unique about North Dakota is you do you, let me do me, and as long as we're not trying to change each other's lifestyles, we're gonna be good. All right, so that's really all I have for you here today. We talked about the weather. It gets really hot, gets really cold, major temperature swings, very rural state. You know, New Salem, it's just 20 minutes down the road. I don't even know how many miles. Lots of land opportunities, hunting, fishing, but land to purchase. Don't expect it to be cheap. And we talked about how there's not a lot of things to do indoors here. So if that's a deal breaker for you, North Dakota is probably not the best fit. And then talked about the growing population. So a lot of people do continue to move to North Dakota year after year after year. And so if you are looking to move to the area, again, my name is Brady Dutchak, local full-time realtor here in Bismarck, Mandan. I kind of work everything from here all the way to the West Montana border. So if you have any questions, feel free to give me a call, shoot me a text, send me an email. I'm happy to help you with anything if you're looking to move to the area.